Susan Magdalene Boyle was born on April 1st, 1961, in Blackburn, West Lothian, Scotland, the youngest of 10 children in a hard-working family. Blackburn was a small, quiet town where life moved slowly, and ambition rarely reached beyond the local streets. Susan's arrival into the world was difficult, and complications during birth affected her development in ways that would shape her childhood. At school, she often struggled to learn at the same pace as others, which made her stand out in uncomfortable ways. Instead of receiving patience and understanding, she was sometimes misunderstood by classmates who did not know how to respond to someone who processed the world differently. Those early years were not easy, but they quietly formed the resilience that would later define her life. Even in those difficult moments, there were signs that Susan carried something special inside her, a voice and spirit that would one day reach far beyond the narrow streets of her hometown. Finding comfort in music. While school life often felt challenging, Susan discovered something that gave her peace: music. From a young age, she loved to sing. Her voice had a natural warmth and emotional honesty that seemed to exist independently of the struggles around her. When she sang in church or at home, it felt like a space where she could simply be herself. Music did not judge or compare her to anyone else. It welcomed her exactly as she was. She spent many evenings singing quietly in her room, letting melodies fill the silence of a modest family home. Those moments became a kind of refuge. Singing also connected her to her local community through church performances and small gatherings. Though the audiences were small, each performance strengthened her confidence a little more. Music slowly became more than a hobby. It became a language through which Susan could express emotions she sometimes found difficult to put into words. A mother's steady encouragement. One of the most important influences in Susan's life was her mother, Bridget Boyle. Bridget believed deeply in her daughter's potential and often encouraged her to keep singing, even when opportunities seemed limited. In a world that sometimes overlooked Susan, her mother saw possibility. Bridget attended local performances, sat proudly in the audience, and reminded Susan that her voice was a gift worth sharing. Their bond was strong, built on quiet support rather than grand gestures. Susan entered small talent competitions and community events, sometimes winning recognition and sometimes not. But her mother's belief never changed. That encouragement planted an idea in Susan's mind that perhaps her voice could reach further one day. Even though the path ahead was uncertain, Bridget's faith gave her daughter something powerful: the confidence to keep trying. For Susan, music and family became closely intertwined, each strengthening the other. Years of trying and returning home. In her 20s and 30s, Susan made several attempts to pursue music beyond Blackburn. She applied to performing arts programs, participated in regional talent contests, and even recorded a small demo tape in 1999. None of these attempts led to the breakthrough she hoped for. Most ended quietly, with polite rejections or simply no response at all. The entertainment industry often favors youth, glamour, and clear categories, and Susan did not fit those expectations. Each time she returned home to Blackburn and continued living a modest life. When her father passed away in 1997, Susan devoted much of her time to caring for her aging mother. Years went by, and her dreams seemed to settle into the background of everyday responsibilities. Yet through it all, she never stopped singing. Her voice remained part of her daily life, echoing through church halls and community gatherings, waiting patiently for a moment that still seemed unlikely. Overnight, fame and sudden attention. The days after her audition were overwhelming. The video spread across the internet at a speed few people had experienced at the time. Interviews, television appearances, and invitations began arriving almost immediately. Susan, who had spent most of her life in a quiet Scottish town, suddenly found herself at the center of international attention. For someone unused to such exposure, the experience was both exciting and exhausting. Journalists wanted to know everything about her life, and cameras followed her almost everywhere. While many people celebrated her story, others examined every detail with intense curiosity. The pace of fame moved far faster than Susan could comfortably process. She was learning how to navigate the entertainment world while still adjusting to the reality that millions of people now recognized her face and voice. A competition that changed everything. Despite the global excitement surrounding her audition, the competition itself continued. When the final episode of Britain's Got Talent aired in May 2009, Susan finished in second place behind the dance group Diversity. Although she did not win, the result did little to slow the momentum of her career. The experience had been intense, and Susan took some time to rest and regain balance after weeks of pressure. During this period, she also received an important diagnosis, Asperger's syndrome, which explained many of the challenges she had faced throughout her life. Rather than feeling discouraged, Susan later said the diagnosis helped her understand herself better. It offered clarity about her past and allowed her to approach the future with greater self-awareness. Record-breaking musical success. Later in 2009, Susan released her first album, I Dreamed a Dream. The response was extraordinary. The album became one of the fastest-selling debut releases in the United Kingdom and topped charts in multiple countries, including the United States. Millions of listeners who had watched her audition now wanted to hear more. The success showed that her performance had not been a single moment of surprise, but the beginning of a genuine music career. Concert invitations, television appearances, and international tours followed. For many fans, Susan represented something inspiring, proof that talent and authenticity could still capture the world's attention without following traditional expectations. Her music connected with listeners who appreciated the sincerity and emotional clarity in her voice. Staying grounded in Blackburn. Despite international success, Susan chose to remain in Blackburn, the town where she had spent her entire life. She renovated her family home but continued living in the familiar community that had shaped her. For Susan, the quiet streets and local church offered a sense of stability that global fame could not replace. She valued routine and comfort, especially as she balanced a demanding schedule of performances and travel. Remaining close to home allowed her to stay connected to the people and places that had supported her long before the spotlight arrived. While many celebrities moved to major cities, Susan felt no need to leave the place that had always felt like home, continuing a career on her own terms. In the years that followed, Susan released several more albums and performed on stages around the world. Her voice matured with experience, gaining warmth and depth, while retaining the clarity that first captured audiences. She approached her career with a steady, thoughtful pace, choosing projects that suited her, rather than chasing trends. Fans continued to appreciate her sincerity and the emotional honesty in her performances. Though the media attention eventually quieted, Susan's music career remained strong. She proved that lasting success does not always require constant publicity. Sometimes it grows quietly through consistent work and genuine connection with listeners. A story that still inspires, Susan Boyle's journey reminds people that success can arrive at unexpected moments in life. For nearly 5 decades, she lived outside the spotlight, singing for small audiences and caring for family. When her opportunity finally came, she met it with courage and authenticity. Her story continues to inspire people who feel overlooked or underestimated. It shows that talent and determination can shine through even when circumstances seem discouraging. More than anything, Susan's legacy lies in her honesty, on stage, in interviews, and in the way she has lived her life. She never tried to become someone else to fit expectations. Instead, she remained true to herself, proving that authenticity can be one of the most powerful qualities a person can share with the world.